Hi, I'm Edith. It's weird to say that. Uh, I'm Edith. It's insane. I haven't even been Edith for a year, and somehow it feels more like myself, but also different. And different, I don't mean that it's a different name, of course. That is there. Different in the sense of alienation, I'll say. How can I just be Edith when there are people in my life who love me, who call me by my childhood name? They address me as Khushi because that's what I meant to them as a child. They felt happy when they held me for the first time in their arms. I brought apparently a lot of good luck and happiness in my family's life. How can I be Edith when I am the youngest child? I don't know how to never feel guilt about being Edith when people in my family who've passed away gave me the name Ishita. When I know every teacher looking at the attendance record is reading Ishita but saying E or Edith. How can I be Edith when nobody's parents can remember my name? Maybe that's like a fallacy of my own. Why did I have to give myself such a complicated name? I could have just been like Raju or something. But no, I had to make things complicated, and to make it even more complicated, I made it Edythe instead of Edith, which would have been easier. How can I be Edith when I have so much unresolved pain from Ishita? Should I not resolve that pain before I get to be Edith? Should I not make my peace with it before I call myself by this name? And I get this a lot when I introduce myself to people as Edith, which is still new because I forget. And I'm like, oh, hi, I'm E. And I'm like, oh, shit, I'm sorry, hi, I'm Edith. And they're like, oh, what is that? And I always get like, oh, that's an interesting name. What does it mean? And I don't know. I've not heard people ask that question to me in a long time because of how common my dead name was. So when they ask me Edith, how can I tell them that it's still traditionally a woman's name, held by a very esteemed lesbian writer and editor. Famously, the name of one of Stephanie Meyer's character, actually, from Gender Swapped Twilight. Look it up, I'm not going to explain it. How can I say all of these things and then say, but I'm not a woman? But I gave this name to myself, but it's my chosen name. And then I can see lingering question in their eyes if they don't know me. Oh, what's your dead name then? And Ishita still feels like a slap in the face because people did not call me Ishita even when I was younger. I started choosing the name E, and a lot of people actually called me E at that point, even though I had no idea what chosen names and dead names were, even though I had no idea what transitioning was, even though I had no idea what pronouns were. I went by she, her, technically. They still call me E. Ishita doesn't, never felt like myself as Ishita. And I fought for it to spell it right. No, there's an E before. Ishita. No, I don't have a last name. I fought for that name so much, the name that didn't even felt like my own. It felt like a burden given to me by family and society and gender and all of these things. And then I chose an even more complicated name. And now fighting for this one feels selfish because this name is my own. This time, when I'm fighting with people, when I'm telling Starbucks baristas, don't go to Starbucks. But when I used to go to Starbucks baristas and tell them, hey, it's Edythe, it's for myself. Because I chose that spelling. I wanted a remnant of my childhood. In that name, I chose a name that starts with an E, and I made it a name that also ends with an E. I always thought that E is a very beautiful letter, and not just because my name starts with it. E and Q and R and Z, I found these letters very beautiful, very, like, flying or something. I can't explain to you why, just no idea why, but that's how I thought of them. And it was too much to let go of the alphabet more than letting go of the name. I will not say I was always Edythe, because I wasn't. I went by May at one point, M-A-E. Again, the E had to be there. I went by just E, and I would call myself like Mix as a non-binary salutation. I'd say, oh, I'm Mix E. And then my partner at the time would be like, oh, you're a Mix E. And somehow that felt more safe than, oh, your name is Ishita. I don't know what that means. I don't know how to call myself Edythe and who to call myself Edythe in front of, and who to tell and who not to tell. Do I tell my friends' parents that Edythe is not actually my name? As if they're going to check my birth certificate. Do I tell the people I'm going to date now that my name, like that I have a dead name and it's my legal name is not actually Edythe? Do I tell Instagram in a randomly lit video that I do in fact have a dead name? I don't know. How can I call myself Edythe with the love and the confidence that I actually feel when I don't even know how to sign it? I don't know how to sign Edythe. I realized that last month. How do I do that? How do I call myself Edythe when I have to email every single professor and be like, hey man, it's E or it's Edythe? How do I call myself Edythe when there are teachers who refuse to call me anything but Ishita because they support the cause, they just can't remember my name? I mean, you remember other 50 students' names, but it's so difficult to remember Edythe. You remember the number of Khushis and Riyas and Poojas and Tanyas everywhere. You remember students who graduated 10 years ago, but you can't remember a 5 feet 11 inches tall transgender student in your class called Edythe. A lot of them I haven't even told I'm Edythe, because E is just so much simpler for them at this point, because that's what I started with. And the correction sounds very cumbersome. It sounds like another battle to fight. How can I call myself Edythe when I have friends and people I love from various universities who are not addressed by their names? It feels like I'm taking advantage of my professors, the ones who do address me by my correct name, and the ones who do fight for other teachers to call me by my correct name. How can I be Edythe when there are family members who follow me on various social media platforms and snicker amongst themselves, laugh among themselves? I'm okay being called Khushi by my family members, nobody else, by my family members, because it's the comfort attached to it. When my sister, even in a fight, is like, Khushi, no, it feels safe because that's familiar. That's home, right? Even laced in that anger, it never feels like a thorn. It always feels like a rose handed to me with a lot of leaves. It's inconvenient, yeah, but it's still a rose and I still like it. Edythe is a lot. Do all the people I've loved think of me as Edythe? Do they think of me as E? Do they think of me as Ishita? Or do they not think of me at all? Do the people who gave me the name Ishita like that I am Edythe? Do they like the name? Are they even there to like the name? Bigger questions of life. But if they are, do they like it? Or do they think it's just a phase? Am I ever allowed to not be Edythe, to be someone else, if at a later point I feel like there's a better expression of myself out there? Or will that solidify the belief that yes, this is in fact just a phase? Why do I need to go under a knife and go to government offices and run around and prove things in order to be called Edythe. Y'all never had to do that. Y'all were just born with a name, made to feel safe with that name, felt seen by that name, and kept it. Why can't I do that? Why do I have to go through 1.5 million things to feel like myself when everybody around me growing up just had to go through a bad grunge phase to do that? There's a black hole in my childhood, in the memories actually. And every bad thing I've thrown in that black hole. And it's not a black hole that never ends. It's a tornado, and just keeps spinning. And I can see like a name tag with Ishita written on it, spinning in that. I'm scared that the tornado is gonna spit it out at my face someday. I am just scared that I'll have to spend the rest of my life proving to people why I'm Edythe. And I will never be allowed to just be Edythe. And there will always be people who remember me as anything but Edythe. I don't know what any of this means. On that note, hi, I'm Edythe. I don't know what that means. And I think I've made a big mistake by putting my dead name in this video so many times, because there will be some cool boy, some dank streamer, Instagram person out there who's gonna use my dead name to like gotcha me. Ew, I hated saying that. But if you care, I'm Edythe. I'm also E, if Edythe is hard for you to spell. And I'm very pleased to meet you.